Hello everyone, it's Andrea and welcome to my channel. I have a travel themed layout to work on with you today, and this travel wasn't too far for me. My girls and I traveled into New York City. My youngest was going to see a play with her friend, and my two oldest girls decided to just take a day trip with me and to explore the things that we usually don't explore in the city. So one of our stops was Grand Central Terminal, and it's a place I've never been before, ironically, because it is one of the 10 most visited landmarks in the world. Who knew? I didn't know. So I learned a lot about Grand Central that day, and apparently I just learned the tip of the iceberg. But in any case, I'm here to scrapbook these photos. So whether your trip is near or far, it's always fun to scrapbook our travels. A few things that I wanted to point out. I have several big 4x6 photos here, and I mounted them all with just a 1/16 of an inch border all around. I have two up close pictures of some of the details of this beautiful terminal. And then I have these four right here. And I just want to focus on those for a second. Now, these photos are a little bit unique. They're a unique size. When I was exploring my Project Life app on my iPhone, I found that I had the option to put 4 prints onto one 4x6 photo. So that's what I did. I sized down the one of the girls where they were further away, and then I did 2 detail shots here of the architecture, and these I actually rotated so that they worked. They are landscaped photos, but I just rotated them in the app. And I just thought this was just such a unique size that it gave me 2-inch photos by 3-inch photos, and I got 4 of them. So it was kind of fun to work with this size. Typically, I've been working a lot with sketches, and this time we're just gonna go at it. A lot of you might have seen this beautiful paper pack. This is our beautiful gallery, aptly named. It's 6x6 papers, and there are just such beautiful, big, detailed sides, and then these beauties here. And then we've got some patterns and then some more subtle patterns. You get the idea. I'm just going to flip through these quickly and let you see the fronts and the backs. Hope you take some of that in. So these have been a hit when it comes to travel, and I thought, you know what? I haven't played with them yet. Let me dig them out. Specifically, I thought that these patterns worked really well with my photos. I loved this big, beautiful floral pattern here. It screams classic elegance. And you might notice I mounted all of my photos on black because there was some iron, I would say they're ironwork here, and it picked up black on my camera. So I thought that that was a great way to make these photos stand out. And then the buildings. Here we have Grand Central Terminal, and we have the Empire State Building right behind it. But the building windows leading down the roadway, they had black frames. So I thought, again, the black just seemed to work, and it seemed to complement everything. So that's what I went with. So that floral piece I loved. I loved this modeled background. It reminded me so much. Now this building is built with granite, and it just kind of reminded me of that. It picked that up. I'm not sure if I'm going to use this one yet, but it's just a thought. And interestingly enough, I found out that people that work in this terminal, that work there full time, are exposed to radiation from the granite. It emits radiation, and people pick that up. I never knew. So I wanted to bring in some blue, and this, I love this pattern too, because it's got a little detail here. Now the building is called a Beaux Arts style of architecture, and it has elements inside that are a French design. I think you might be able to tell with this little window here, the customer service window. It's got some great detail here, and that reminds me very much of some French influence. And then the last thing I wanted to do was bring in a pattern that picked up some of these crazy pink and orange tones that Isabella were wearing. And this I thought was nice because it's subtle, but it also brings in this pattern here that reminds me of French architecture as well. So I thought it all kind of played well with the photos, and I hope you agree. But I needed a bigger kind of a pattern. I love the 6x6 squares, but I needed something to run across the page because I have a big title planned for this layout. So I started digging in my Nature Sweetness paper pack, and you might remember it. I've used it several times. I love this paper pack, and it has this beautiful paper here. It has all writing on it. It's all embossed in gold. I hope that the light, there we go. I think it's picking up now. It's got this beautiful grayish background, and I just thought that that would kind of complement the whole thing. I just thought that that would work well. Other supplies that I'm planning on using. Once I started looking through my stash, I wanted to use, well, let's say I wanted to create a big title. So I knew that my party alphabet dies would do that for me. These are gigantic. They're a little bit pricey, but you'll see that we are using these again and again. They are just big, bold statement pieces. I also brought in my little alphabet. This one is alphabet a la mode. And this is a tiny little alphabet set. I'm just going to peel this back so you can get a look at that. And I wanted to work with 2 different alphabets. Some of the other things that I know I'm definitely going to use, this Charming Day stamp set. I thought that this floral image right here really did a good job mimicking this here. I wanted some bold, elegant statement pieces. Also going to use the die set for this stamp set. And for now, I think that's about all. The only other plan I have is to use damask designs to embellish our letters. We're back, and I've cut my 4-inch strips of Nature Sweetness or Designer Series paper, and I'm going to just adhere those to the very top. I loved the gold accents here, and I just think that they are a wonderful addition to this page. It's soft. It's subtle. Next, we need to play just a tiny bit with photo arrangement. So I am thinking I'm going to put the Empire State Building with Grand Central here. I want that to be the first picture. And then these photos were as we were entering. So I'm just going to put this down here like so. And then I need a detail shot. So let's put this customer service right there. And then I've got more photos of the girls and the fixtures. Let's keep the girls in the middle. And I know I want like a good 1/8 of an inch border between the photos. And so this, I'm going to align this photo right here all the way with the inner right side of my page. And then this one, I'm going to give it that border. We'll move this one over. We're just laying these out casually for now. And this one I could go down here with to mimic this one, or it could go up high. I think that might create a little bit more interest. So I think that's going to be where we're going to put this. It's going to look something like this. And now I've got our 2 portrait photos. And I also have our 2 landscape photos. So I think that that is a pretty good design. It's unusual for me. I'm not overlapping anything, but I kind of like how it goes up and across the page. It's a fun arrangement. Where do we want to place the other patterned papers? And let's look and see. I love this big, bold floral. Like I said, it is just, it speaks to me. So I think I want to keep a whole square of that down here in the corner. So pretty, isn't it? And then I don't know if we're going for balance. I'm not sure what I'm going for. I don't know if I want it to be balanced and keep the same, or if I want something different. Let's keep this the same for just a second here, and let's see how it looks. I'm trying not to move all my photo mats, but I'm sure my photos are sliding just a bit. So let's just put those back. Like I said, this is just dry fitting, and so we'll have to adhere everything down. And we've got a good size strip in the middle here going across. But the nice thing is that you're not going to see, if we use 6-inch pieces instead of 12, they're going to join under each of these big pictures. So we could use something like that. Kind of thinking I do want to bring that blue in though. So we're going to slide that into place, and let's see how that looks. And these will be touching because they're 6 and 6 equals a 12. Let's put this one under. Let's feel this all out. That went under a little easier than I thought it might. Didn't disrupt too many things here on the page. And, you know, I think this would just be too much beige. So let me just set that aside for a minute. And I still have these beautiful pieces here. And it really, I've got to tell you, it hurt me to cut this up. This is such a pretty, pretty piece. But what if I were to slide... I should have cut 2-inch pieces. I think that that would have worked better. But what if I can make that work and get that across the middle? I kind of like that because it's barely there. We're just getting a touch of the color. It's not too much because it's such a subtle pattern. It's not competing against this. It looks good against our writing. You guys get the gist of this. And I'm actually going to cut this apart and place pieces behind each of these. I think that that will stretch our paper. I think I can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little strips, and I'll just divide this up and we'll put little pieces behind there. This way it'll look like one continuous piece, but it's not. We'll save some paper by doing that. Now let me show you what else I have planned. I'm going to go ahead. I've got some letters cut out here, and I've got the grand cut out with our big banner die alphabet, and that is going to go somewhere up here. However, I think that is kind of plain. I knew I wanted to bring in some golds because, like I told you, this architecture in here, all these little features, the gold on the chandelier, the polished brass on the letterbox and on this customer service box was just gorgeous. And this, the iconic clock in the center of that room, that was just beautiful, polished, also polished brass. And I knew that I needed to bring in that layer of elegance with a gold of some sort. I want to, like I said, I want to give it some texture, though I think it's a little flat. So I'm going to go ahead and off camera, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start getting some of these pieces down, and I'm going to run these through our embossing folder. So I'll load those all up, and I'm going to be careful. I'm going to run them with the letters so that the pattern goes in a certain way to match the paper down here. But when I feed this into my embossing machine, my die cut machine, I'm going to feed it in with the closed edged first. That will give me a better impression, and it will allow this to slide in. And if I was to put it in this way, it could potentially pop the end down here, and we don't want that. So always slide it in with your, slide it into the machine with your closed part first. So I'm going to get all of that done, but I think that that's just going to layer up the texture and just bring this whole title up just a notch. So that's where we're going so far. Let me pause and take a second to get this all glued down and get these embossed, and we'll be back. I've gone ahead and adhered down our 4-inch strips, and I've adhered down our 4 6x6 squares. Now this is going to overlap just a bit, but our first piece that we're going to lay down is the full piece. And I just wanted to show you where I was going to place it. I'm placing it right underneath the 4-inch strip of Nature Sweetness, and I am overlapping my beautiful floral underneath by about 1 inch, and it's okay. It'll be okay. We're going to have a photo here. Let's just lay this out again. So we're going to have a photo here, and then we're going to have a photo next to it. So I need to put something, cut this 1-inch strip. And I just need to put this strip, I'm just looking at this pattern to see if there's anything. I think it goes like that. So I'm looking at the 8-inch mark here, and we're just going to put a piece down there. We're going to bump it up against that Nature Sweetness piece again. So that will allow us to have that little gap right there, and it's going to look like you have a continuous piece of paper. So if this were a sketch, it would show this continuous piece of paper, but now you know the secret, because we're going to hide that. We're going to hide our white and pretend it's one continuous piece with all these little pieces, right? So now we have to put one right here on the edge. And I know that because we're going to have that gap right away to start. So let's go ahead. We're going to butt that up against here just in case it shows. So I'm not really measuring. I just know it goes right against that piece. And then we're going to have our little photo mat, their photo, and we're going to need another one about 4.5 inches over. It'll be centered. So let me get that down. Let's bring in the next photo. Just give that an approximate line up, and we're going to have that one more little photo up here. So I think we only need a couple more 1-inch strips. This one's 2, but we'll adhere it down anyway. And this one I've put about 7.5 inches. So it's a bigger piece. It'll cover any mistakes we might make with placement, but I think it's going to look pretty good right about there. So now we've got what looks like a continuous piece right under the photos. Let's go ahead and let's put down some of these photos. We're going to start with this one. Actually, let's start with this one. I have these a little bit backwards. So the girls and I, like I said, we always have a plan when we go to the city. This was the first time that we just decided we weren't comfortable with Emma going alone 100%. I mean, I know she had her friend with her, but we come in on buses, and the weekend schedules are different than the weekday schedules that Emma's used to traveling on. So I just wanted to make sure they could navigate the Port Authority easily. And I am a very overprotective mom of Emma, and she hates that. But I just wanted to be sure she was there. I don't know if I've told you, but Emma has developed epilepsy and is in control right now. But I just wanted to make sure, she doesn't get my stress, but I do. So I just wanted to make sure that I was close by to her and not a bus ride away should something happen. So it was just one of those extremely hot days, which is why we ended up in Grand Central, believe it or not. It was so hot in the city, and the air quality was just so yucky that it was really hard to breathe. So I said to my 2 girls, Katie and Bella, I'm like, you know what? We need to take some downtime today. Let's go see a few sites, but let's also take time to just be indoors a little bit so we're not inhaling this really bad air. So that was when we glanced up. We were in Bryant Park. We were eating at a restaurant down there, and that's it's a little bit south. This is 42nd and Park Avenue, which is 4th Avenue. And we were down probably about 10 blocks. But we got to this point, and it was just so yucky. And I saw the terminal, and I'm like, you know what? Let's go in and look at that station. We've always just passed it by. So let's do a few touristy things today. So this was one of our stops doing the touristy kind of things in the city that day. And hopefully I can scrapbook a little bit more of that trip too. We went in and saw St. Patrick's Cathedral and the Mass, and it was lots of fun. So it's something that it's not what we typically do. We typically go see plays or have a plan of what we're doing. This day, it was wonderful because we just completely did what we wanted on a whim. And that is so not like us, not to have a plan, but it worked out beautifully. So let me get this one, into view as well. And I am just going to make mention of the fact that I'm putting Isabella on this side, Katie on this side, because they're facing in, and I like that. I think if I had done it the other way with both girls in the middle, it just would have looked a little weird. So that's a little detail that I just want to show you. Now I've got the last 2 little photos, and I'm loving this size. I don't know about you guys, but it's just an absolutely great size to work with. So let's get these down. So I started all my big photos, I should mention that, at 2.5 inches up. and I probably could have dropped it a little bit more. I would have had a little bit more even spacing between here and here, but it's fine. It'll work. So let's get our last little photo down here. Okay. There we go. So our photos are done. Let me bring in the beginning of our title sliding out here. But didn't this work out fabulously? We've got the word grand. And I'm going to put these up here in this upper corner. Justified kind of to the left, because I'm also going to bring in, I've got all my pieces here. I have a whole bunch, it's hard to see, but I've got a whole bunch of black letters that I've cut out as well. And I put central and terminal. So let me just move that C over. So I love the look of overlapping letters, and that's why I love these alphabet a la mode, because they're just so tiny that they create the perfect skinny little alphabet. So this is my plan. It's obvious that I'm losing letters everywhere across my table here, but I'm going to spell out central and terminal, and I'm going to get those all placed here. So I'm going to glue those down. Everything's going to be flat. So I'm going to do that off camera because I think that's going to be a little tedious. And then we'll come back and we'll place the embellishments, and our layout's going to be pretty well finished. I love those snappy little layouts. And like I said, I made the decisions on the fly, and you've walked along with me during this video. So you got to see my brain work in real time, which is kind of fun, I think. So let me get those glued down, and then we'll work on the embellishments. These little letters are kind of a pain to get placed. So I wanted to show you my little trick. What I have done is on one side of my ruler, I have laid down a strip of washi tape, and then I flipped the ruler over. So now I've got the sticky part right here. And then I line up my letters where I think I'd like them and kind of stick them here. Now, this right here is going to tend to move. These letters down on the bottom are just kind of a little free. So to give them a little bit more of a stability, I'm just going to place more washi right there. So now, hopefully you can see, I've got the sticky side up. So what I've done is basically I have laid washi tape here. The sticky side is here. When I flip it over, I glued down my letters to it, and then I just seal it up. So now I can flip this back over. I can actually look at placement as well. And hopefully this is in the camera. And I should be able to then place these all at once. And all that I need to do now is use some kind of adhesive that I can put on here to make them sticky. So I'm just going to use a Zig pen because that's what I have. So I'm going to paint over all of these and then just lift them and stick them. Easy as can be with that little double washi trick. I have gone ahead and I have put some of my Zig glue on the back, and now I just have the bottom, the whole top peeled away from my washi tape on the ruler. And that's okay, because now I can use this washi tape to line up with the top of the photos, and I'm just going to use my fingers to adhere these down or get something pointy. And if you need to add more adhesive, you definitely can. And just push them down. Now, if you need to do any adjustments, you can do that here and wiggle them just a tiny bit. They definitely stick to the paper better than they stick to the foil, but that's okay because I've got a lot of adhesive down here on the bottom. So once I get them down a little bit, they should at least be glued to the paper, and then I can go back with some more glue and maybe glue them down a little bit better to the foil, maybe with something like a liquid glass. And there you have it. That's my tip for getting down a title. So I'm going to let this set for a bit before we go and embellish the layout. Here's the grand reveal of that title. I'm going to slowly hold this down with my hands, and I'm going to peel back that washi tape. Now, I have gone ahead, like I said, I've used some liquid glass up at the top. If you need to adhere anything down a little bit more at the bottom, you can do that now. And try not to drop your washi tape on top of your photos like I just did. But isn't that an awesome trick to get these straight? I just think it provides proper placement. I can dry fit it by moving it back and forth to see where I like it. And I love the bold gold title and the black central terminal part of this title. I think that these two alphabets pair so well together. I'm so happy we have both of them. And now I'm going to go ahead and, as promised, I'm going to pull in that stamp set. It is the Charming Day stamp set. Now, I just went ahead and stamped onto white cardstock, and then I felt like it was just too bold white, and I needed to change up the flowers a bit. Now, in retrospect, I probably could have gone ahead and used that plain sheet here and stamped the roses onto there and die cut them, and that would have been absolutely stunning. The dies that go to the Charming Day stamp set are also called Charming Day dies. And what's fun about these, there are the outlines that match the stamps, which is what we used, but then there's also solid cuts that you can make that don't require stamping. So I've cut out some leaves as well. So the choice is yours. You can stamp or you can just die cut. I wanted to mimic this pattern down here. So in order to soften that bright white, I pulled in a Copic marker, and this one is W1. It's warm gray. And so I just went over the flowers and the leaves, and I think that that softened it. I think it just made it a little bit more beigey to match this, and it works well. Next on our to-do list is dry fitting these flowers. So I just need to see where I feel like they will fit the best. So I put these onto foam tape already. So I'm just going to peel back one of those pieces and just adhere this down. And we're going to go with that. So one there. I am changing the direction of the flowers each time I lay them down on the layout. So we'll put one kind of like this. And then we'll do a whole bunch that's probably upside down. And we'll just have it cascading down from right here. And I'm just overlapping the photos in each area slightly. I like the way that looks so much. Now I also, in that die set, there were just the leaves. You don't have to stamp. And so I cut a few leaves because I think that that will add to this layout. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can't get those adhered down. So all of these leaves and the title, I failed to mention, are cut out of gold foil. And like I said, this is embossed. I left these plain, and I just like the little bit of gold accent that it brings around. I think it pulls in the brass accents on the page. For our last little bit, I have these pressed flower motif embellishments here, and they just, I don't know if you can see these, they've got just a little tiny design. They're very heavy, and they are truly made of metal. They are not meant to, they're not plastic meant to look like metal. They are metal. And so I do think that they will be the perfect little touch for our layout. So let's go ahead and grab a few of these and place those around. Now, I wanted to talk to you about Versamats too. Versamats are an old Close to My Heart product, and you can see that I've used those here, and mine is getting a little bit warped. I wonder if I could lay out in the sun and flatten it, and the back foamy part's getting a little beaten up. So I do have a plan. It's going to be quite a surprise, but I have a plan that should allow us to put that there, should allow us to create our own. We're going to do like a DIY kind of a Versamat, and I think that you're going to be surprised. If you've not subscribed to my channel yet, now might be a great time to do so, because I am planning on having that video to show you how to kind of do it yourself. You won't want to miss that if you definitely love your Versamat, or if you've always wanted one and missed out. And like I said, you can tell mine is getting warped. I think you might be able to see it here. Let me just move this out of the way. Now, I have the perfect spot to do a little journaling down here. I'll probably do a few long strips down here of journaling, and I feel like that is just a good neutral place to do so. But I don't know, for having not come with a plan, I am really, really loving the way that this layout turned out. So again, look at those two alphabet die sets together. Again, this one's a little pricey, but it is just one of those impact, and I just couldn't continue with Grand Central Terminal across. It would have just been too big and too much, and that's where I love pairing it with the alphabet a la mode. I think it's just, like I said, it's the perfect complement, and you can always dress up these letters to make them fabulous. Speaking of fabulous, that little stamp set worked so well with the paper. So that Charming Day stamp and die set, perfect. And then, like I said, we've got the beautiful paper down here, the 6x6 squares, the Nature Sweetness up here, and let's just look at this cluster as well. Look at those little embellishments here. They're understated against that gray, but they're there, and I am in love with those. That's the first time that I've used those, and I just feel like it also mimics, let me just pick this back up again. It also mimics the little rivets that are here on this mailbox. It's got the same kind of design, so it works perfectly. So whether you're traveling near or far, and I'm just fortunate that New York City is close to us, so it's not a far, it's just a train ride or a bus ride away from me, but I know that that's a lifetime goal of some people. So enjoy the things that are right around you and capture the little memories, the little detail photos of the architecture. I think that's so important to capture that. It wasn't until I came home and started reading about Grand Central Terminal that I began to really enjoy the architecture more and more. And, you know, I should have mentioned this before, but way back when, before I went to college and got my bachelor's degree in business, I actually wanted to be an architect. Kind of got waylaid because I got a full scholarship to my college, so they didn't offer architecture. But I've never grown out of appreciating that, and I think architecture is a very important part of traveling. So capture the details. Just, I mean, the craftsmanship that went into every single piece. I know you can't really see the ironwork here, but even the tiles up here are made of, I believe it's granite. Just gorgeous, gorgeous craftsmanship. So look at those detail photos. It's just incredible when you begin to appreciate what is right there under your nose. So I hope that you've enjoyed this little video with me. Like I said, hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss any of my upcoming projects. I hope you've had fun creating with me here today. Thanks for watching.